now everyone's kind of bringing in like AI produced notes. They're a little bit off, but I'm sure it'll get better. Okay. Cool. So just a quick highlights for this week before we kind of just jump into like Q&A and progress we have on a few other things. Our goal is to push a prod update this Thursday. I'll keep you updated if that timeline moves, but essentially what's included in this update is like fixes to error flag performance items. So there are a lot of instances and use cases in Edvo where you just get an error flag for doing different things. So really appreciate the community reporting those. We have fixed a handful of them and we will continue to fix them as people report. So this Thursday, hopefully you'll start seeing fewer error flags. I'm not saying you won't see any, but you'll see fewer. All of the portal related issues should be fixed by this Thursday as well. Portal related issues being the ability to create a new portal from your toolbar. And then issues with like just dragging and dropping things in portal. The positioning is off. So that's just like a quick math calculation error that we have to fix. All right, what is that? That's a portal thing too. Okay, I'll make a note of that. And then there's some outline issues. I actually wanted to test this together really quick because I'm unable to reproduce this as consistently anymore. So if we could all just like create a new note card. So hit like N on your keyboard and create a new note card. Title it something random. I'm just like reproducing the repro steps here for all of us, but just create a new note card if you can, and then like type something in the first bullet, indent the second bullet, type another thing in the second bullet, and then unindent it. Just essentially just type a bunch and indent and unindent, and let me know if you see any glitchiness with it. I haven't been able to reproduce any weird glitchiness. What was happening before was that like pseudo bullets would appear and disappear, which is what we didn't want happening.
Darlene, remind me, how do you unindent stuff?
Shift tab.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that expected? Shift tab, or do people use other ways to unindent?
I used to use Option and the bracket squares to move it back and forth. I think that's kind of like a common pattern. Tab for indenting, obviously yes, but I never unindented with Shift Tab. So it's not a common shortcut for me. But maybe it's common for code editors, and if it is, then we certainly should follow that paradigm.
Yeah. Anyone else have thoughts on how unindenting works in Edvo?
I had no trouble. It worked fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can't get any glitchiness. Anyone else experiencing any weird bullet behavior when unindenting and indenting?
You must have updated the notes thing since yesterday, because I was having trouble yesterday formatting stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've just been pushing very tiny fixes, not intentionally addressing this issue, but seems like it must have.
Here, I've got one of my bugs. If you see my note that says Gabriel, I'm pressing delete, and the cursor is not moving.
On the last bullet?
On the 0, I'm on the O, the third third line up. My cursor is flashing there on the O, and it doesn't move when I press delete.
Okay. Sweet. So we identified a different bug.
It's because the O is still there. So if I arrow forwards, then I am able to delete the O, and then I'm able to delete the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to like clear the line before it will delete up to, not what I'd normally expect, but maybe it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's like a carrot placement thing. Okay. Hey Robert. What you kind of just jumped into was we were all stress testing the outline and seeing if there were any bullet glitchiness happening when you indent and unindent some bullets, which was something I think a lot of people were experiencing earlier, but it doesn't seem to be happening anymore. All right, cool. Well, if anyone does experience that again, let me know. I think it's great that it seems fixed right now, but I wish we knew what was causing it. So if it does come up again, just like hit us up. All right, and then what's coming up, not in this week's product push, but probably in the next ones after we stress test it more. We have some auto positioning updates with what Shohei is working on. And then Taylor, who's in here, has pushed some fixes to search. So hopefully in the next few weeks, you'll be able to do some partial word search in Edvo versus needing to type in a full keyword. Okay, I am going to remove this portal because it's doing weird stuff. Does anyone see this? Like if you in my shared screen, you see how like the item has like escaped the portal essentially. Does anyone else see that on their end, like when they're interacting with it? Okay.
Yep. Seems like a positioning issue.
Yeah, I'm just gonna screenshot this really quick, and then I will make this not a portal.
Hello, brother.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I'm sorry for my tardiness, but I was traveling back home, so I was a little late and I needed to eat something before I went into his meeting. So
no worries.
Yeah, it's going well.
Awesome. Yeah, we've just been stress testing a few different bug cases that have been reported.
Right.
So if any issues happen with like outline stuff, let us know because that's something that we're trying to get a finger on. How is everyone feeling with like, what's this, product lift? I'm really happy for the recommendation and I'm glad we've just been able to get this up and I appreciate y'all for contributing to it. Any feedback on how it's set up, if like the interaction can be different? I honestly just like threw it together and like sent it to y'all. So formatting, setup, things like that, like hit me with the feedback and we can, you know, iterate on it.
Yeah, do you have a roadmap tab so far?
Not yet.
That's there. You got it on those
hidden,
tabs,
I think.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
okay, got you. Yeah, exactly.
It's hidden on your guys' end because I haven't added anything to it yet. Hopefully I should be able to get to that this week, but I'll add to this. And then I'll make that live. So the only live ones I think you guys will see on your end is feedback and then updates.
I think part of what brings this to life, besides having lots of people in there, is that you can set the notifications to appear on a public website. So as things are being updated and the community knows where to go for conversation, they'll see a list of notifications and updates, and it will feel more active and alive.
Cool. Okay, so you can integrate those with the web page. Sweet. Is there a Discord integration anyone knows of?
Don't know about that.
Okay.
What is the web page? What did you decide on?
It's product lift. I'll send it in the chat. Yeah, I think it's because y'all had recommended that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I do like how there's like the roadmap, well, not roadmap yet, but roadmap feedback updates. How do we feel about the like moderation aspect of it? I feel like at this stage, we don't really need this. Like, is it weird when you submit feedback and you don't see it on the board because there's this like moderation step where like I have to go in and essentially be like, okay, this is cool. Show it.
I don't think it's necessary in this early stage, but maybe later on, when they're getting in more people.
Right. That's how I feel too.
Yeah, as it grows for it, you probably have to have some kind of moderation because of porn bots and whatnot, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe we keep it open until we hit a problem, and once we hit it, then we figure out how to deal with it.
I think it's good. It's a good policy to have it open as long as possible. I mean, it would be easier for people to see what they have posted also. So, yeah.
I wonder how I remove this. Delete. Oh, okay. Well, I'll figure out how to remove that after this, but I think I can.
Yeah, you probably can.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. So there are a few use cases that we can go through and explore some of the questions involved in those use cases. But before we jump into that, I'm curious if anyone had any questions or thoughts top of mind that we wanted to tackle first.
I'm still thinking about what Gabriel said about the integration with the website. And I wonder, between folks in this group, like, do you often visit Edvo website? Is it like a starting point for you? Like, do you go there at any point in time? Because let's say we integrate, the feedback module into the website, but then the question, in my mind, like, how many people would see it there versus, looking into the Discord integration and trying to create more visibility there?
Sure, it's gonna partly depend on just how you want to grow the website. If you want it to be a resource for users to maybe find templates or examples of what Edvo spaces other people are doing, and if it's going to become a bit of a content portal for users, then yeah. But if it's just for, there's even a case to make that if it's just for converting people into customers, maybe you don't want that to be a public display of what the current roadmap is. Depends how building in public you want to be and whatnot. But yeah, basically, if it's going to be a content portal for users to come back for different reasons, then you'll have the traffic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Though it's probably like a more of a midterm thing, to look to. But like right now with the current state, like, do you ever visit Edvo website? Or
I have done a few times to share the website with other people when I want to grab the URL. Yeah, so there's that.
Got it. And when you need to log into the tool, like what do you usually do?
What I've done is I've moved over to Chrome from Safari. I had 55 Safari tab groups, and I kind of liked, because they're accessible. I can open up the sidebar, click on a tab group, and I got all of the tabs. Then I got the hassle to find which tab amongst 20 I actually want within that tab group. So I've moved over to Chrome, still in that process. And Chrome tab groups works differently. They're on the top of the browser. So I've now got 3 Chrome tab groups. One is trading for my crypto stuff. One is social for my social media. Twitter's in there, LinkedIn is in there, etc. And then the other one now is Edvo. And in the Edvo tab group, I've got maybe like 4 Edvo tabs open for the spaces that I want easy access to. So it's like my Safari setup where I'd click a tab group and it opens up all of the stuff. I've now got Edvo, the few tabs for Edvo that opens up the different space of stuff that I want to focus on regularly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's working. It's like I find it practical and useful, and it's actually it feels organized, and I'm able to access the stuff easily. So when you say like about going to the Edvo to the Edvo Discord or the website or the product lift tool, I've got it in my Edvo space, and Edvo is just a tab or inside my Edvo tab group.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyone else on the call doing it differently? Like when you need to access the app?
Yeah, I think we've identified that one of the hard things is unless you've kind of built your own habit, like it seems Gabriel has, or built his own system, it's a bit hard to return to the Edvo app. You have to either figure out that you can do it through the extension, which isn't easy, or you go to the Edvo website, but there's no path there, so it gets broken.
I also have it bookmarked to my browser bar. So I've got I've got Zoom. What have I got? I got Zoom, ChatGPT, and Edvo on my main browser tab bar on Chrome, and with a few other folders. But then it's super easy just to click Edvo, and I'm right into the application.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the difference is that like you took that kind of responsibility to like put it in your bookmarks bar, so you can get easier access, versus anyone who doesn't put in their bookmarks bar. I feel like it's like uphill battle trying to get back to Edvo. So I'm curious, like other tools have kind of replaced, like who does this? Like I think Miro does it, where if you just type in like Miro.com and your cookies are signed in or something, it'll just take you straight to your portal, your homepage, versus to the website. A few other tools do that as well. So we could just add a login button to the website to make that easy, or we can, take away a few steps by like doing some redirect based off of if you're signed into Edvo or not. What are you thinking through, Alex?
Yeah, I'm thinking that, like, I have a hypothesis that if we have a login button on the website, and we do the integration with the product lift, we can leverage, the login attempts as an opportunity to, showcase some updates, because people would be coming to the website in order to log in, and if we have something prominent, maybe like around the top of the page, on the updates, on the roadmap, stuff like that, it might be an opportunity to kind of like increase visibility of those things. But it only works if people actually come to the website in order to log in. And what you're sharing about kind of like replacing the homepage with the application homepage, like after the first successful login, right? And just like redirect people, like whoever types in edvo.com, they just land into the application versus landing into the website. I think that's certainly like a good approach to user experience on that front. Because on my end, it's expected behavior. A lot of applications that I use do that, and it kind of like creates this loop. Like every time I want to use a tool, I'm just typing in the address, and it kind of like works on the memorability of that address. So branding wise, I think it's kind of like a good thing to do there as well. Plus the experience is just good.
Yeah. Cool. We'll look into that. Sweet. Any other questions or thoughts along that thread? Okay, dokes. Anyone have any other thoughts top of mind before we kind of hop into specific use cases?
I think go on is a good point.
Go for it, Andy. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said go on.
Okay.
With use cases. Yeah.
Great. Sounds good. Okay, cool. So I'm going to take you guys through a specific user experience, and I think it would be fun to see like what kind of gaps that we've identified, and I would love to get your thoughts on like your own experiences if you've experienced them as well. So context is I am building, I'm collecting a lot of information in Edvo on wedding planning because 2 weeks ago I got engaged. So now I am doing a bunch of wedding planning, and thank you. And I'm using Edvo to collect all of that information and like synthesize it and act on it. So really personal use case, but I think a use case that a lot of people kind of go through in terms of just like managing information. So essentially what my workflow was I had, well, I don't have a billion tabs open right now, but I had a bunch of tabs open as I was researching venues. And then I brought them all into Edvo. Let's jump into here. Bug. Does anyone else experience that where you're trying to jump in somewhere and it doesn't go anywhere? Okay, let me.
I think maybe all the further tabs it usually pulls through. So.
Okay. Can someone who's still in the office hours space like add a sticky that says delayed? I don't know. Edvo breaks when trying to jump into a different space. Okay. Okay, so interesting use case here. I had a bunch of tabs open. I was just researching venues, and I just went tab to tab to tab to tab. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 tabs open. I used the organizer, brought them all into this wedding venue space. But now I have 14 tabs in this wedding venue space, and this doesn't actually help me research each specific venue. So there's 2 different locations that I'm trying to categorize this by. I have like Thailand locations and I have Orange County locations. So the process that I'm thinking through is what is the easiest way we can allow someone who has brought in so much information into one space, it's now kind of like overwhelming in one space and they want to be able to organize it more into different buckets. So I'm going to walk through a few different scenarios, jump in if anyone has any thoughts. But my goal at least is 1, to figure out how the heck I'm planning this wedding, but also to figure out the best user flows in Edvo for these scenarios. Okay, so in this space, like I said, I have Thailand venues and I have Orange County venues. I can't really identify which is which from like looking at this view. So I'm kind of like zooming in and looking at it and then like zooming back out and looking at it and going like that for each one. You'll notice that as I did that, I tagged like OC venue on this, and then I repeated that for Thailand venue, and I just like kept repeating that. But it was a bit difficult because I was going like zoom in, tag, zoom out, pan, zoom in, tag, repeat. So what I'm trying to think through is how might we make that easier? Instead of needing to zoom in, zoom out, tag, zoom in, zoom out, repeat, that's like a lot of different steps, not even including the searching for the tag portion. So probably 6 steps to get to that times 14. It's a lot of steps in order to organize this amount of information. I'm gonna pause there so we can all kind of just like reminisce on what that experience is like. But curious if anyone has similar experiences that they want to share here, or have any ideas that they want to share here. I have some ideas that I can share, but I want to open the floor first.
Have you dragged any stuff around, really? Like when you brought all of those tabs in Edvo, did they lay out like this, where the first row is Orange County and second one is Thailand, or did you rearrange them somehow?
They were like this because I realized that when they were all in my tabs, I had kind of did them in that specific order, where I was like clicking through a bunch of Thailand venues, and then I was like, okay, half of my family probably can't make it to Thailand, so let me look at like venues in California. And so if you imagine like this long line of tabs in my Chrome browser, that's what it looked like. So that's what it looked like when I brought it in. And then as I started, well, I just like took half of them and then like moved them like this, because I didn't like the format of a long line. And I could see them a little bit more zoomed in when they were in this format. So that's most of the organization that I did in this space.
What kind of venue? What venues are? Is it outside mostly, or do you have some inside, like in a house or a castle or whatever?
What type of venue? Is that what you asked, Andy?
Yeah.
Most of them are all outside. Yeah, so the types of venues are pretty similar. I would say most of the actual differentiator right now is between like location. Gabrielle, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, a few ideas. One, I like the idea that I could click a organize or sort button, and that would zoom in to each of the items in the space, like album art for music. So it shows me one big, like zooms into one of them, and then it gives me like the properties or notes bar that I could enter details in the fields, like make some notes of the thing, and those notes would serve as sorting tags. So then I could swipe to the next item, add my notes or my tags, and then process each item individually, but it would zoom in for me, like the art. And then once I've done that and I zoom out of that sort thing, then a button that would organize based on the tags that I've just added. So if you only add 3 tags, then maybe like a little palette pop-up modal that gives you options, and one of the options is organize or sort, and I press that, and then maybe it would tell me what the options are to sort. So if you've added Thailand and Orange County, it would just say, do you want to sort by this, like the location property? I click yes, and then it would automatically segment into a couple of clusters on the space. The AI kind of to begin that process might be that an AI could read into the pages and suggest what it thinks the properties are. So if it sees that some of them say Thailand, 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 then it finds that theme and presents me with color highlighting those things, and says, do you want to add Thailand as a tag for all of these items on the board? And then I click accept. So it's done without me having to manually pull around and zoom and sort. A few ideas.
Yeah, there's a few things there. One common theme I'm seeing is like based off of the tags that exist in the space, how do we, well, one, notice how like I have tags in a space like Thailand venues, OC venues, but at a space level, I have no idea what kind of like relationships are in my space. based off of those tags. And so even though I've tagged each individual page, I'm unable to see those reoccurring themes to be like, oh, let me go look at all of the Thailand venues. I can't do that unless I zoom into a specific item. But if my space could tell me like, hey, you have like this many things in like related Thailand venues here and this many things related to OC venues, that could be helpful. Or like you said, Gabriel, some type of way to cluster, like automatically cluster information based off of the relationships that you've already made within the space, versus me needing to be like, okay, this one's Thailand, I'm going to put it here. This one's Orange County, I'm going to put it here, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it seems like we need to tackle two problems here. One is the positioning of items on the canvas. So like as soon as you import things from Chrome, right, you have a strip of websites. And those websites might not be necessarily organized because somebody would do this work and they will have a couple of logical groups. Somebody would import just a complete mess, right? And from there we need to visually categorize them in a couple of clusters, and also we need to add tags to those clusters in order to have like a thematical grouping on it. And you can potentially start with adding tags and then cluster things based on text, or you can start other way around and first visually organize things on the canvas and then say, yeah, you know what, it makes sense. Now let me start taking those groups or add additional context to them.
Oh, like you mean if we had like you could actually see some visual group like this.
Yeah, something of that nature. And maybe like as you drag and drop, the websites into that group, they automatically get the tags which are associated with the group. So it's like a mechanics on how to add tags without actually adding the tags, right? So you like do it once on the group level, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, everything in this quadrant or cluster is going to be related to Thailand, right? And I just like drag and drop stuff there. And the same with OC, right?
Yeah, it's essentially like we have that with portals. If you drag something in a portal, it's tagged, but making it more frame-like in a way.
Yeah, like a very simple visual indication that those things belong together. And on the back end, we have a mechanic of adding the tags to the items which fall into that particular cluster, right? So it's like a very visual way of adding tags, in addition to a little bit more structured when you add them one by one, or through like some sort of a text box interface.
Right. Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with flying logic? Probably not. It's a very obscure piece of software. But if you want to, I can do a demo if it sounds interesting now or another time. But if you just check out the website, it's kind of simple. You can add boxes called entities, and you can draw arrows between the boxes. And as you do that, as you add more boxes and more arrows between them, it automatically repaints the layout, so it finds what it thinks is the best distribution of entities. And then it does also allow you to group a cluster of entities, and so you can put them inside of a frame, and you can give a little title, just like you've written there, Darlene, on those clusters as well. And so what's really amazing is that it automatically repaints for you as you add more entities to the thing. So it might be a little inspirational just to check out that website. It's not the same kind of software at all, but flying logic.
Love it. That's pretty cool. Though, like what I'm thinking about repositioning is that like we will need to strike a very fine balance, because if your board is going to shapeshift all the time, we will start losing the pieces of that like pure visual discovery, where I put those things in that bottom right corner and I expect them to be there, right? Versus the board is shifting all the time and you're not necessarily sure where to find that cluster of information, whether it's bottom right, top left, somewhere in the middle, etc.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's also like, I guess, edge case in this circumstance. Like obviously I'm kind of defining these as very more absolute tags with like locations being Thailand or Orange County. But if I started like kind of Andy was asking, like if I wanted to organize them based off of venue type, like indoors or outdoors, how does that, like if this was also, wait, well, the drawings don't stay, obviously, it's Zoom. But if this had multiple tags and this had multiple tags and they like overlapped, how do we represent that visually if we wanted to do some like auto clustering in that sense? Maybe it's just based off of like filters and drop downs and how you want to see it.
Reminds me of what I had the other week with my little scroll wheel visual idea, that it would display the most popular tags on the screen and then just let me like select, deselect, or rotate them to what I wanted to focus on.
That's true. Yeah, some sort of selector. Yeah, because I was thinking, oh, the other way might be to just like transclude, make a copy of this and drop it in like, another section as well. But the issue with that is it can also cause a lot of clutter if you're seeing duplicates of everything in one space.
Yeah. Or just the tags could be little buttons, so I can multi-select the tags that are showing as properties on the top of the frame. And then, so if you want to focus on indoor versus outdoor, then those are the tags that you highlight and you deselect the others, and then it repaints according to just the tags that are selected.
Yeah. And it seems like we might benefit from like adding additional tag, which will be location or like a type of venue, right? And when you're selecting that, it automatically renders what is included in that, right? So it's basically like kind of like a mode of viewing. So we need to have like a list of first level tags, which is basically, kind of like the core structure of how we're going to render the information. And then within each first level tag, we add as many subcategories as we want, right? Because maybe at some point you will start considering not only Orange County, but like Ventura and whatever, Santa Barbara, right? So you add more locations into that tag as subtags, and you can render them as groups in the same fashion, as long as that first level category is selected. But then at some point you're like, oh, let me change the lens, right? And look at outdoors versus indoors, or look at the places which offer catering in addition to the venue, right? So it's basically like how you structure that first level. And then, though, what I'm thinking is it's probably working with like a 2-level structure. But as soon as we have more inclusions, it becomes a little bit too complex for the neat visualization.
True. Yeah, I mean, I think the point that I'm drawing from there, Alex, is like, as this space grows, like it's not like I'm finished with this space. Like there's clearly like I have to do a lot more venue research. So it needs to be dynamic. There needs to be a way for me to change how I'm visualizing things, change how I'm categorizing and grouping things. So I see what you're saying with like the 2-tiered organization category. But the idea of like a selector or being able to freely group things seems really appealing, because like I'm gonna want to see this differently based off of like how I'm, what patterns I'm trying to do or what job I'm trying to get done.
Yeah. It's all about like changing lenses, right? Like, and changing how you view the information through those lenses.
That's it. Obsidian search, if like it's like the knowledge graph. If you're adding too many transclusions or whatever into this space, then it's going to end up feeling like a Obsidian knowledge graph of just lots of dots, and you got to zoom out. The search field for the knowledge graph on Obsidian works well. You can do minus a keyword, and it will remove all of all of those notes. Like my literature folder, or I can add particular keywords and it will only show those on the knowledge graph. And then it just repaints it. Obsidian filtering works pretty well.
Yeah. So it seems like we are moving towards this concept of like the infinite canvas plus the graph, right? Like kind of like what is the representation of two of those paradigms if we decide to build a UI around that concept. So it's not as static as your infinite canvas, but also maybe not as fluid and shape shifting as the graph, right? Like what is that medium in between, which would work for both use cases and allow you for the discovery of information, for organization, for tagging, and be this kind of like central hub for your actions in Edvo.
Yeah, maybe just a pin. So the two frames that Darlene's got there, maybe she wants to pin Thailand as the static thing while she does other filtering, and the rest of it can repaint while the pinned Thailand frame remains on the screen for this current research.
Yeah, I think there's this is cool. I mean, we have a lot of ideas here. Thanks y'all for going deep on that with us, but a lot of ideas here on how to just like be able to use the visual aspect of a space in order to see your information and draw insights from it. Because a big thing about like drawing insights from all of your information is being able to identify those patterns. And so if grouping and clustering helps us identify those patterns, does it get us there quicker? Anyone else have any thoughts here?
Yeah, when you were more zoomed out, I was thinking often when I browse, I use an extension called Hover Zoom. So I was just thinking, or Hover Zoom, but it normally works with images. So I guess if you had snapshots of the little things, you could sort of hover zoom and say, oh, that's that website. And paired with that, maybe a way to add tags from the, I don't know what you call it, the little three bubbles that pop up and give you the tile mode and the copy link. Yeah, if you could add, you had some way of getting to adding tags from there instead of having to zoom in to add the tags, then you could stay zoomed out and sort of interact with the things in a zoomed out way. That's what came to mind first.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good point, Robert. Like just identifying that, like, hey, one of the things that took a lot of steps was just like zooming in and zooming out to each screen. So if there's a way to be able to identify what everything is in your space, even when you're seeing it from like a bird's eye view, what would that look like? And I think that's one thing that there's room for improvement for sure in Edvo is how everything scales together based off of your zoom level.
Yeah, and also often with these hover zoom things, it's not just you hover and it happens. I added a little modifier, so you have to hold control. So maybe that sort of, if you hold control and hover, then it does a temporary tile mode or something like that. Or, and the yeah, I think the dock, I think it's called the dock or whatever that. I was thinking, oh, if you had a dock that was for tagging, you could pull up your little tagging palette dock thing and drag tags onto things instead of typing them in or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome mechanic. Like recently we were looking into like spraying the tags. I don't know if like anyone on the call have ever used Lightroom, but they had this funky feature where you type in the tag or the keywords in the text box, and then you basically like take a spray paint thingy and spray over your thumbnails of photos, and where the spray paint falls, those photos are going to be tagged with the text from the little text box. It's a little bit funky, it's not like super polished or like a very common experience, but it kind of like plays along with what Robert was sharing, and I think there is something to it. It's kind of like a reverse mechanic. Instead of selecting the item and adding tags, first we are selecting the tags and then adding them to the item, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, are there any well-known products right now that do that?
Lightroom is the one.
Lightroom. Okay. Cool. Sweet. Any other? Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, just before we move on, Robert, where have you seen that interaction of dragging tags on things?
I'll have to think about it. I don't actually remember. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's just because I'm used to drag drop sort of interfaces and it's just kind of obvious next thing. But yeah, but actually tied to that, I was trying to, like when you paste links into Edvo, it works, but even dragging links into Edvo for some reason, it doesn't work for me. So that's a similar, I guess, a similar space or similar issue.
Yeah. Were you dragging them from within a web page already in Edvo or dragging one from outside Edvo?
Yeah, dragging from outside, either dragging and dropping the link or the little padlock in the address bar normally works too. But yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's something that well, it doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for anyone because we don't have it built for that yet. But that's a cool insight to how you bring in things into a space. All right. We have 5 minutes left. I feel like that time flew by. We have 5 minutes left. There are other use cases that I can take y'all through in terms of how I'm wedding planning later, but I'm gonna leave this 5 minutes open. Is there any other like questions or thoughts that anyone has before our time is up?
At the bottom of your screen, it seems like there's like a little bar there with like, are those different topic spaces or what?
Yep.
What is that? I feel like I don't see that in my version of Edvo.
Yeah, let me clear all drawings. Okay. Yeah, so this is the doc. Essentially what it allows you to do is have any of your topics be consistent in your doc as you navigate across different spaces. So for example, if I really wanted to have some notes and I drag this here, it would get docked and I'd be able to like add or reference any of those notes as I like navigate across spaces.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that Robert uses the doc for, if I remember, is moving things between spaces because the search function right now is a little finicky. So if I was here and I'm like, okay, I want this to be in a different space, I could just dock it, go to a different space. Wow, this reloading thing is really finicky. Go to a different space and then like drag it in there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Actually, so I use it. Go ahead.
I was going to say that relates to one of the questions you mentioned earlier about transclusions, and I still don't have the jargon right, but the two portals that are in a space, could you drag and transclude from one portal to another, or does something like that work?
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Yeah.
You can totally do that. Let's do an example. So if I turn this into a portal, make another, well, not what I wanted to do. Make another portal.
Darlene, was that I can convert something to a portal even though I can't add new portal with the bottom right button?
Yes. So a workaround to creating a new portal is just create a note card and then appearance portal. Yeah, so that's the quick hacky workaround until we fix that hopefully this Thursday. But yeah, so example, transclude this. If I hold the option and then drag, oh wait, I meant to drag this in here, but you can see how you can, in these two portals, they both exist.
Interesting. Yeah, because would it work if you didn't do the middle ground thing? Because I was trying to do, I guess when I was on a call with Alex, I was trying to do something similar because FedWiki does dragging between. So I was trying to drag a tab from one to the other, and it sort of doesn't work. But I'm curious if it can go straight from a portal to another portal.
Yeah. I think there were a few errors I ran into, though. You kind of saw like these flags pop up, so you should be able to, but I think there was some friction there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? All right. Sweet.
I have one thing that I want to say before we leave.
Okay.
I am publishing my part 2 of note-taking in 2023, Friday probably, and I'm mentioning Edvo as one of my probably note-taking apps for the future. So there we have it.
Oh my gosh, that's so great, Andy. Please share that in our Discord whenever you do publish that, and we can share it around too.
So because I'm in a situation where I haven't decided what to use, so I'm trying out a lot of things right now. So Edvo is one of those things.
Totally. We appreciate that, Andy. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're doing great work, so.
Yeah, thanks for helping us, y'all. It's not easy. All right. Was it helpful going through some of the workflows that I'm going through? Because I can keep bringing in an example every office hours, but I can also not if that's not helpful. So let me know. I can ask y'all individually, or you can share in the Discord. Yeah.
Another thing. I got married this year too. Can you
Congrats!
See
yeah. Well, it went blank, but
it's hard to see maybe, but here we are.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Of April. Yeah. So
amazing.
It's a good year to get married. Yeah.
I hope so. Oh yeah, one last thought. If anyone has any like use cases that they want to share and work through how they're using Edvo for it, please let me know and we can create space for that as well. Awesome. Well, on that note, I will see y'all in the Discord channel and I'll post the recording and notes here later.
Great. See you all later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Bye.